Hi guys, my name is Somi aka Driplist, and well, I've been getting a lot of questions on how did I learn Dutch, or like how can one learn Dutch, and I was like, okay, maybe today I'm gonna share. I'm gonna share like a few tips, okay? So aside from like, maybe learning on, all the different language apps or getting like a personal tutor or stuff like that, you also need to kind of like train your mind towards Dutch even more. So you need to practice. Like practice makes perfect. So here are some fun tips which I use to help me improve my Dutch language skills. So getting straight into it. Number one, first of all, I use this system called Dutch word of the day. So what I did basically, so anytime I heard or I came across like an interesting Dutch word, I'll write it down. So I had on my phone, like on my Google Docs or on the Notes app, anything you want to use, I had like a list of Dutch words which I found interesting. I searched them up, I found the meaning, and what I would do is that I would try to speak Dutch every day until I use that word in a sentence. So it got really tricky. Like some days I would just come up with like, oh, okay, today the Dutch word of the day, for example, could be hartstikke. So for example, maybe I need to have a conversation up to the extent that I'm like, oh, hartstikke goed, like stuff like that. So it was a fun game. I really enjoyed doing that, to be honest. Like I would just really like maybe go into a store like an Albertine or like one of this supermarkets and stuff, and I would speak with like one of the employees until I use that word. I know. I know sometimes it's like a bit like crazy, like, okay, like what if you don't get to use that word? So then you move on to another conversation until you use that word that day. So it helps you to like, make sure you remember to like speak Dutch, because you could learn by yourself, but like if you don't speak, it's not gonna get that good, to be honest. Like practice makes perfect. So just keep like a list of your Dutch word of the day and try to speak Dutch to the point where you get to use that word. And then the next day you pick the next word and then you go again. And at that point, your brain also kind of like picks up a lot of words along the way. It really helps, trust me. Then secondly, I would say, well, this one is kind of common, right? But I just want to emphasize it because it does work. It does help a lot. So definitely watch movies with like Dutch subtitles, or watch Dutch movies with English subtitles as well. So the thing is that like I know we get super comfortable like watching the whole show like in English and reading like English subtitles, but if you challenge yourself to watch either a Dutch show with English subtitles, it's gonna be like very hard at first, but after a while you start picking up stuff, and like a lot of words start making sense, and in a way like you encourage yourself even more to recognize more Dutch words and stuff. So watch movies with Dutch subtitles or watch Dutch movies with English subtitles, and read books in Dutch. I know it's hard, but I started off with like children books. So like when I was a student, I used to babysit a lot, and if you babysit a kid, you have to get to a point where you need to read a book. And I babysat mostly like Dutch kids. So at some point, I had to start reading like a lot of like kids book in Dutch. Like at some point I didn't even know what I was reading, but I was like, okay, this is making sense, so like gradually you start picking up words and it start making sense. So try to read kids book. If you find Dutch shows like a bit too advanced for you, I would say definitely like watch like cartoons and stuff, like kids shows. Those are more slower, like the language is slower, like everything is more or less brought to the level of a child. So if you're learning Dutch, of course you're more or less like learning at the pace of a child, more or less. So yeah, like do more of like maybe watch kids shows, read kids books as well before you start advancing, and follow the news in Dutch. Like there are a lot of like channels that are set up for kids, news channels. For example, you have the NOS Journaal. So if you want to like follow the news in Dutch and you find the news a bit too advanced for you, you could definitely like follow the kids news in Dutch. So the NOS Jeugdjournaal, for example, that's a really helpful one. Also, like keep reading signs and stuff. That definitely helps. Like if you see like something on the, if you see something like you know, a poster, try to read that poster, try to make it make sense. That's that. But my last tip, this one, I love this tip because for example, like this one really forced me. This one really forced me, like at the end of the day, like I always advise people, like if you want to like really like, you know, put your mind towards Dutch, use this tip. So that is your phone, go to your settings, go to the language settings on your phone and change your language settings to Dutch. Trust me, like we use our phones so much that if you open up your phone and everything is in Dutch, automatically like you start to like see, you know, more Dutch things. You start to like try to like understand what, you know, things are. And like of course you want to use your phone, so you have to learn what those different Dutch words mean as well. And then like when let's say a notification pops up or a system, I don't know, something, if anything happens on your phone, it's literally going to be in Dutch. So if you do change your language settings to Dutch, it's definitely going to help. Like it's going to, you know, make your mind go more towards Dutch. And at first it's going to be a bit frustrating because when we use our phone, we want to use it like really fast, you know, search up something, like go to the calendar app or, you know, do something like really quick. But if it's in Dutch, you're first of all going to freak out a bit. You're going to be like, wait, is this my phone? But you know, after a while you kind of get used to the fact that okay, this phone is in Dutch. You know, my messages are gonna pop up in Dutch, so I have to read them in Dutch as well. So it is, I definitely recommend this tip for sure. Like, you know, change your language settings to Dutch. Try to trigger your mind to, you know, lean more towards Dutch. So those are like my 3 helpful tips. Practice makes perfect. I'm gonna emphasize on that one again. Like practice does make perfect, and the more you practice, the better you get. The less you practice, it kind of gets, you know, worse. But yeah, like just keep practicing. And also like you could check out some sites on Instagram and stuff. So if you do spend a lot of time on Instagram, follow some accounts. There are a lot of accounts that definitely teach you you know, tips and tricks on how to navigate the Dutch language as well. So yeah, do check them out and practice. Use your Dutch word of the day, change your language settings to Dutch, and you know, watch shows in Dutch, read Dutch subtitles. Those definitely help for real. So those are my tips. I really hope it helps. If you have any more tips that you use to help you navigate the language better or to speak the language, you know, more, or you know, just tips that you feel that other people should know about, definitely share with us in the comments. And I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye bye.